check this out. This is the lightest bike I've ever seen. It's an absolutely ridiculous, fully functioning hyperbike built by a chap called Steve Rose. And it weighs just 4.28 kilograms. Just 4.28 kilograms. That's ridiculous. But to put that into context, well, that's the same as the whole of Game of Thrones. Although a fly has just landed on it. So, well, I guess it's heavier now. I'm going to go through all the parts on this bike and explain all the little weight-saving details on it because it's amazing. And we're going to start with the frame and fork. The bike is built around a 2015 58cm Cannondale Supersix Evo High Mod frame set and fork. And to further reduce weight, Steve has actually painstakingly sanded it down to remove the paint and lacquer, which he reckons saved 120 grams off the frame. And it means that it's just 733 grams. And for the fork, that's 255 grams. So a really light platform. Moving down to the chainset area, we've got the ridiculously bling THM clavicular carbon chainset, just 297 grams for that. And not content with metal rings, to save weight, we've got Fiberlight 5134 carbon rings on here, just 78.8 grams for those, and KCNC bolts, just 7.5 grams for those, to attach them onto the chainset. While we're down here, you've probably noticed this rather tasty looking front mech. Well, it's a Tiso Altori and it has carbon front and rear plates and it weighs just 46 grams. The pedals are quite unusual. They're Ultralight Cirrus titanium and they weigh just 71.4 grams. If you're wondering why Steve didn't opt for something like Derailleurs, well, they're really heavy. They weigh 228 grams a pair. But I'm interested to see how well these are to ride, so I'm going to ask Steve later on. Wheels are hugely important when building a light bike, and on this we have got AX Lightness SRT 42mm deep tubulars, and they weigh 452 grams for the front and 579 grams for the rear, so very light indeed. And for skewers, well, they're made of lead. Nah, only kidding. They're actually Tune Skyline. They're titanium and weigh 17.2 grams, just 17.2. And they're aero too, as an added bonus. Fitted onto the wheels, we've got VeloFlex Record tubulars. They're 22mm wide and they weigh just 386.1 grams for the pair. There are lighter tubulars out there, but these, well, they're really good. And I love the way that the tan sidewalls contrast against the black carbon of the rest of the bike. The Cassette is an 1127, and what's special about it is that it's made by Recon and it's aluminium, which means that it's a little bit softer, but it's very light. So the weight, including the spacers and lock ring, is just 107.7 grams. The shifters and rear derailleur are SRAM red mechanical because they're the lightest shifters and derailleur you can get, but they're not light enough for Steve. To make them even lighter, he's modified them. So check this out. He's added carbon jockey wheels, a carbon inner plate, and carbon Schmolke limit screws, and now it weighs just 124 grams. Onto the hoods. Now, this is probably my favourite area of this entire bike. So, well, the clamps that attach the hoods onto the bar, naturally they're Schmolke carbon and weigh just 9.6 grams. But the hoods as well, they're no ordinary hood. Steve has done something ingenious. He's actually got some heat shrink plastic and specially cut it into a hood shape and then heat shrunk it on top of the shifter. And that's saved 21 grams. They weigh just 17 grams. It's genius. Look at these levers. Now, no uber lightweight bike build is complete without some serious Dremel action. So Steve got his Dremel out and he's cut these holes in the levers, and he's doing so has saved about 10 grams. The shifters now weigh as a pair just 196 grams. Onto the rest of the cockpit. So Steve has slammed his stem because it looks pro and it also saves weight off the steerer tube. It's AX lightness along with the bars because, well, they're just incredibly light components. The stem is -17 and it's 12 centimeters and it weighs just 82 grams. The bars are 42 wide and they're 162.5 grams. And Steve actually managed to save a bit of weight off the bars because he chopped 2 centimeters off the drops because he didn't need it. The bar tape's quite intriguing. It's not actually bar tape. What it is Tesa insulation tape, but it feels remarkably nice actually, and it weighs just 9 grams. The plugs, they're Data, but they've had the centers drilled out and they weigh just 1 gram. These very bling carbon brake calipers are actually AX 3000 from AX Lightness. But to make them ever so slightly lighter, Steve has actually swapped out the pad holders for the THM Tubular pad holders because they're a little bit lighter, and also the bolts that hold those pad holders in place, well, they're carbon. And the total weight, just 110.3 grams for the pair. Next up is the saddle and seat post. So this is an AX Lightness Phoenix saddle, and Steve says that he actually really likes the shape of this saddle and it's really comfortable for him, and that's the reason why he hasn't swapped it for something lighter, which is absolutely bonkers because it weighs just 63.7 grams. Next, the seat post. Well, that's a Derailleurs T1 and it's been custom made so that it's got a custom clamping area that's perfect for Steve's saddle height, and it's just 60.9 grams, which for a seat post is absolutely incredible. Seemingly no stone has been left unturned in the pursuit of making it lighter. So I'm going to do a quick run through of some of the smaller parts and their weights. The BB is Lightning Zero ceramic, just 78.5 grams. The headset bearings are FSA SL, 32.7 grams. The headset expander is 5.9 grams. The top cap, 2.7 grams, and the dust cap just 0.9 of a gram. The Carbon Works bottle cages, we've seen those at Eurobike before, and they're just 9 grams for the combined pair. And 4 Schmolke carbon bolts attach them onto the frame at just 2 grams. The Derailleurs T1 seat post clamp is just 3.8 grams. Cables are KCNC titanium, just 25 grams for those. The cable housings, well, Steve has repurposed some mountain bike cable inners. Nice hack there, 25 grams. The chain is a PYC SP1101 with 106 links and it's 211.7 grams, which is slightly lighter than a KMC chain. He's even weighed the glue used on his tubs, which comes in at 21 grams. Now, you've probably heard me mention Steve quite a bit when talking about this bike, so I think it's time we met him. I've got to ask, because I'm sure many people watching this video will be dying to know, what is it like to ride a 4.28 kilogram bike?
Well, it's pretty fun, to be honest. It's pretty crazy. The front end's quite light.
Do you find you're doing wheelies? Like when you're riding along, or
if you're going up a hill and you're pulling hard, I have had that happen before, but mostly it behaves itself. Just hold on tight going downhill is my only advice.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I have geeking out over this incredible bike. And if you have, then why not give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to watch another bike with some lightweight tech, then click on the bike.